Hola a todo el mundo, me llamo Alex y bienvenidos a mi cuenta de YouTube. Hi everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hace mucho sol hoy, there's lots of sun today, so I'm sorry if the lighting's a bit funny during it. But it's a super sunny day today in Leeds and I thought it'd be a really nice time to just film a YouTube video. So ahora en este video vamos a aprender sobre imperatives and commands. So if you remember in my last video about the subjunctive, we went over what weirdo stands for, and the O in weirdo standard for order, and today we'll be looking more into that, about orders, commands and imperatives in Spanish. What is an imperative, a command or an order? An imperative is a verb that you use to tell somebody to do something in a direct manner. So in English we can say make dinner, wash the car, clean your room, make your bed. It's that verb, make, clean, wash, that is the imperative. And in Spanish there are 4 types of imperatives. We have the tú imperatives, the usted imperatives. Actually no, there's 5 imperatives, sorry, pardon me. 5, there's the tú, the usted, the nosotros, the que, and the infinitive. But in this video, we're going to talk about the most common form of imperative, which is the tú commands. Hace mucho sol, no? It's very sunny, isn't it? So the tú imperative or command or order is the singular form. It's also informal, so we use it when we're talking to friends, peers, people in our close family, children. There is the usted form that we use when we're talking to our boss or head teacher, but again that isn't that common in Spanish, so we will not be touching on that. If you'd like to, you can go and research the other forms of imperatives and commands and orders, but today we are just focusing on the tú command. Entonces, how do we form the tú imperative? So what we do is we take the infinitive, which is a whole verb, including the AR, IR and ER ending. We then get the stem of the verb, so we take off the ER, AR or IR and we have the stem, and then we add the L or ella ending present tense. For AR, just for AR verbs that is an A, and for IR and ER verbs it is an E. So let's go through that again. We take the infinitive of a verb, we take off the IR, ER and AR, so we have the stem, and then we add the L or ella present tense ending. Algunos ejemplos, so some examples. If we take the AR verb comprar, that is the infinitive, we take off the AR, so we are left with compr, and this is the stem. We then add the L or ella present tense ending, which is compra. So the infinitive will be compra, and in a sentence we can say compra la camisa, which means buy the top, buy the t-shirt. And for IR and ER ending verbs, we're going to use aprender, which means to learn. So we're going to take off the ER, so we're left with the stem, which is aprend. We're going to add the L, AR present tense ending for ER and IR verbs, which is an E. So we have aprende, that is the imperative. Aprende. And in a sentence we can say aprende español, learn Spanish. Like all verbs and conjugation in Spanish, there are some irregulars. So a way to remember how to figure out when to use an irregular in the command order imperative is that all verbs that are irregular in the third person, él y ella, in the present tense also become irregular when they are commands. So for example, ser doesn't follow the endings of ERs. It becomes, in the third person singular, él and ella, it becomes es, therefore that's an irregular. So in the imperative it's also irregular, so it becomes se. Same with tener, it doesn't follow again the ER or IR present tense endings. When it's in the third person it becomes tiene, and we add an I in the stem. Therefore the imperative command is also going to be irregular, and that is going to be ten. ¿Podéis encontrar el resto? Could you guys find the rest or research the rest of irregulars? Because there aren't that many, there are some but not loads, so it'll be easy to find and also learn and remember. So you might be wondering, because imperatives in the positive way follow the same endings as the present tense, the third L and ella, there's not any difference from that. So how can we tell the difference between when we're actually using the L or ella in a sentence compared to an imperative? And that is when punctuation becomes really important. So if we add an exclamation mark at the beginning and the end of the sentence, it definitely brings out the emphasis that it's an imperative, that it's a command. For example, compra la camisa, she buys the t-shirt, compared to compra la camisa, buy the t-shirt. And also commas can be really useful, so it then again puts the emphasis on it being a command, not just a regular verb conjugated in the el EAF present tense form. For example, Alicia compra la camisa, Alicia buys the t-shirt, or Alicia compra la camisa, buy the t-shirt. So now we're going to move on to negative commands, and this is where it links back to the subjunctive that I was talking about earlier and that I made a video on last week, or the last video, where basically when you're giving a negative command, and this means like don't run, don't eat with your mouth full, don't talk back, it's not rather than run, eat, it's the don't, we then have to put the verb into the subjunctive. There's not really a reason for this, it's just the way that it works in Spanish. So how do we form the negative commands, negatives, imperatives? What we do is we have a negative word, whether that's no, nunca, jamás, don't, never, and again never, and then we add the to form of the present subjunctive. So for example, we can have no corras, don't run. Correr is an ER verb, and if you look back at the subjunctive video I made last time, we know that when we are doing present tense subjunctive, we swap the AR and ER and IR endings over. So instead of no corres, which would be in the indicative form, we have no corras, which is in the subjunctive. Another example, we can use comer, again in the subjunctive it takes the AR endings, and we're going to put it in the to form. So we have no comas con tu boca abierta, don't eat with your mouth open. And again, no hables en clase, don't speak in class. And we always put negative imperatives in the to form, unlike positive ones which take the el and AR present indicative form. Entonces, that was a little video on commands, orders and imperatives in Spanish. Espero que hayas disfrutado este video. I hope you've enjoyed it y hayas aprendido algo and that you've learned something. A little bit of homework or a little bit of things to do in your own time. Try and use it in your speaking if you're talking to your sibling, to a friend. Maybe tell them to do something or to not do something to practice that subjunctive, because this is really useful in speaking and sounding like a proper Spanish person. Entonces, hasta luego y adiós.